Hi, I'm John Townsend, and we've got some great Pemmican questions today. Thanks for joining us today on Questions and Answers with James Townsend and Son. So this first question is from J Private H Private, and it is on the Pemmican storage video. He says, I've been watching these videos and have a bit of independent research on my own, and have been thinking how you could increase the flavor while still having a good shelf life. To that end, I present a couple of ideas which I may take a crack at within a couple of weeks. Let's see. Number one, why not use real bacon bits further dried out instead of beef? And he says, I wonder if it'd be too salty. Number two, would mixing in some honey help the shelf life since honey never goes bad and is itself an antibiotic and antiseptic? Number three, I know real dark maple syrup is loaded with nutrients, but I'm not sure how well it would store when mixed with a pemmican. What are the thoughts? And number four, are there any herbs or spices you could add to inhibit mold growth? Okay, see, these are all really good questions, but I think the thing that we have to kind of remember before we get to any of these little additions is the idea that pemmican was made, it was mass-produced, made in thousands of pounds at a time. They were processing many, many animals, and it was a survival food. It was really meant not to be, something that you would love to eat, but it was meant to keep you alive. So the users, if they were going to change their pemmican, they would have done it as they were preparing it, as they not as they were making it, but as they were getting ready to use it. So you are going to eat your pemmican. That's when you're going to be adding spices and doing things to it. So as we get to these little additions, let's keep that in mind about what pemmican was in the past. Now, these things might work here in the future, and I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen. Using bacon instead of the beef, I think that's going to bring in some of its own fats. They might go rancid much more rapidly. So I don't necessarily suggest the bacon. It's certainly something to try. Number two, mixing honey with it. The honey might try to absorb moisture, and it might ferment. But then again, it might be a great addition to this. Again, it's something we haven't tried. I haven't heard about anybody doing this. Sounds like an interesting experiment for sure. Dark maple syrup. I don't think that would be a good addition. It's just plain sugar in there with its nutrients. It might taste really good. I think it would be better brought in separately rather than actually mixed in with it. And herbs and spices. They might inhibit mold growth, definitely. But your herbs and spices can really start to intensify in a concoction like that. And I think that's one of the reasons why they didn't add that to the pemmican. Depending on how long it was going to be stored, you may find these spices actually getting too intense and not a very good taste when you get done. That's one of the reasons why you don't use like jerky when you're making it, because those salts and nitrates really intensify in this and make it very unpalatable. And again, the Métis in the 19th century, when they were making this pemmican in great quantities, and Indians, when they made something very similar, they sometimes would add berries to that pemmican, but every time they did that, it was likely to lower its shelf life. So we have to kind of take that into consideration when we're thinking about these additions. Steve Baker's got another pemmican question. He says, I'm interested in trying pemmican as a backpacking food and the main source of calories from fat while I'm on the trail. My question is about how well it will hold up in warm to hot climates if properly kept out of the sun and in my backpack, possibly up against my water storage. Do you think this pemmican should stay in its solid state and will not become a runny mess in my pack? I plan to make a large batch, cut it into single servings, and vacuum pack it for the trail. And then he thanks us for the videos. You know, pemmican tended to be a cold weather provision, and you don't hear about it as much in the hot climates. I would be a little concerned if it gets very warm that it would not be in as much of a solid state as you want it to be. If you vacuum pack it, it should probably be all right, you know, as long as it doesn't break open. As to whether or not it's going to stay in its solid state, if it's made with properly rendered organ fat, the true suet, not the muscle fat, it should stay solid at a much higher temperature than you might expect. But I'm not sure what temperatures you expect to get this to. So if it stays under 100, it'll probably stay in a fairly firm state. If you've got more pemmican questions, make sure to give them down in the comment section. And if you have examples or things that you've done with pemmican to help answer these kinds of questions, I would love to hear them. I don't have a lot of experience with using it in these kinds of situations or these kind of alterations. So if you've got experience with that, make sure to give us some comments down in the comment section. And make sure to check out those pemmican videos. I'll put links down in the down in the description so you can see that whole pemmican series that we did like last year or something like that. I want to thank everyone out there for your great questions and your very encouraging comments. I thank you so much for helping me continue to do what I want to do, and I want to thank you out there for watching. If you're a new viewer and you haven't subscribed, press the subscribe button up here. That'll take you to a spot where you can subscribe. That really is the best way to get notification of all the new videos that are out. I want to thank everyone for watching.